there, wrestling fans, and welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now, introducing your host with a combined weight of none of your business, it's Metal Geek and Joe Panther III, the Dudes at Ringside podcast.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to episode 126 of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am your host, Joe the Panther Butler, and now introducing from the top of Metal Mountain all the way down to all 50 states and the globe, it's the happy heel himself, a Metal Geek.
What's going on, Ringside Crew? What's going on, internationally known? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Robbie? What's going on, Joe?
Robbie. Not too much. Welcome, Robbie. Geeky, you ready to? I think I ran out of bubble gum, but I know what else I could bring up. Let's give if we're gonna answer the questions, maybe they'll answer them. Let's give a war. Dudes at Ringside, welcome to the House of Heathens.
What's going on?
Hey. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
coming
coming on.
Welcome, guys. Welcome. If our fans aren't familiar with you, I don't know why they're not. Introduce yourselves.
We are House of Heathens. My name's Teal Piper. I'm the daughter of Roddy Piper, and this is Deimos. We are a intergender tag team, and we're actually engaged in real life as well.
Yes.
That's awesome. Welcome, guys, and thank you very much for taking our invite on a Monday. We realize you guys are in the middle of training. Sorry about that.
There's no such things as weekends when you're at the gym every day anyway.
Yeah. Me and Geek's experience with training is I work in a grocery store and I lift up sugar and like cases of water all day long and heavy milk cartons. Like they put on a cart all day. Like in the Mondays and Thursdays is my real workout.
You know what? That counts. You're lifting. Gotta be creative.
I hope so.
Yeah, you guys are lifting.
See?
You guys are
Gun show.
Yeah. I mean, you got me and Joe are lifting like Coca-Cola and stuff like that. You guys are actually lifting people.
I don't know if I could the first time, like, nope. I forfeit. I would have no wins and about like 195 losses. I'd be like, forfeit. I'm back. Geek, you start off the question.
Yeah. So how was first of all, how did you guys meet exactly?
We met at LA Fan Fest. I believe that's what it was called.
Yes.
LA Fan Fest. Like maybe 2 years ago. We were both doing signings there. He had just had his neck operated on. He had gotten partially paralyzed.
Oh, wow.
And had to have his whole neck redone. I had blown out my knee and was about to have my knee replaced. So we kind of went through the whole rehabbing together, and then COVID hit. And we ended up quarantining together and everything. And, we just obviously hit it off, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So you guys were like both injured at the same time, and you kind of like...
Yeah.
We both were very depressed. But then it ended up weirdly a good thing, aside from the fact that we got a lot of time to get to know each other, because COVID happened and nobody was running shows anyways. So, I was sitting here all depressed that I wouldn't be able to train or work for a year, with our surgeries. And then it turned out we wouldn't have been able to anyway. So out of every year to get injured, we picked the right one.
Yeah. Like, so who individually, but who trained you guys?
Deimos is actually who trains me. I mean, he brings in people occasionally to work out with me one-on-one, but I genuinely feel that I'm getting the best training there is available.
Yeah, and I broke into the business being trained by Nikolai Volkov.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long
That's
time ago.
Yeah, and I mean, I've had a
Awesome.
lot of mentors and trainers to fine tune me along my journey. But I started wrestling with Nikolai Volkov. The first bumps I ever took in the ring were with him. Yeah,
That's awesome. You get your first bumps and bruises from a legend, like a
yeah.
man that would like. Oh man, he must have had some stories to tell you, like around
Many, yeah.
Yeah.
so many stories from Nikolai.
That I still apply to this day, actually. Lessons.
Oh wow, that's always
Yeah.
good because like a guy like Nikolai Volkov, he would tell you something and you could still use it to this day in a wrestling match. You know what I mean? Like unlike back in the day, there's so many different ways to do something. Like not many ways to do moves and stuff like that. And nowadays you could toss it into any match, and
Yes.
Yeah. So, what was the one thing you'd say you learned from Nikolai Volkov?
Well, the one thing that I definitely apply to this very day and will for the rest of my career is whatever moves that you decide to do, make sure you're willing to do them in a healthy manner for the rest of your career. Like, for example, one of the stories he gave me was he said he used to feud with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And he said during his feud with Hogan, he always used to laugh and say, man, you keep doing that leg drop over and over again every night. Eventually, you're going to need a new hip. Well, he needed 2 hip replacements. So, like, I thought to myself, well, I try to build my body of work around, less compression to my spine or, taking care of my joints better for longevity. So like that's probably the best lesson I ever learned from him is thinking long term and wear and tear of things I do on repetition on my body.
That's so true. Like even though like certain things you do when you it's like my case, I lift milk crates. Always my dad always tells me never use your back, always use your knees when you lift these things up
Yeah.
because you lift them up the wrong way. I had past hernias. I could pull a hernia lifting up a milk crate. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look back at like a lot of the performers over their careers, if you look at their injuries specifically, most of the time, minus, a few freak accidents, most of the time their wear and tear injuries are from their own moves. Like Triple H's quads roll up his leg because what does he do? He does the Arn Anderson spine buster on his knees all the time, year after year after year. Eventually that kneecap's going to blow that quad off, and that's what happened, Randy Orton taking the RKO over and over and over again. Now he has a lot of neck and shoulder problems. It's just, the Hulk Hogan with his hip. Everyone has that wear and tear of what they decide to do with their careers.
Yeah, that's that's totally true. Like, got to be able to do something when you wrestle. You can't do it repeatedly, and if they do it, they'll get their injuries. But you have to be able to learn how to change the way you do things. And if you're so stuck in the way you do it, it's hard to fix it unless you really have a good trainer behind you.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things that a lot of independent wrestlers have a hard time figuring out once they get to any mainstream platform is what worked on the indies doesn't really work on TV when you have to do the same thing night in and night out as opposed to once or twice a month. If you like, for example, a good friend of mine, Ricochet, you notice you don't do that 6:30 very often these days, because it was beating him up, so he had to switch to doing the code breaker more and saves that 6:30 for like real monumental moments, because when he was on the indies doing that night after night, it wasn't that bad because he can kind of pick his own schedule. But when you're on WWE's schedule where you wrestle 4 or 5 times a week every week, you gotta think about long term.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
It's like always you gotta slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
don't take so many bumps because you want to have a full long career.
Like nothing bothers me more than when you see professionals show up to put together matches and they don't want to take that many bumps and they think that they're lazy. They're not lazy. They're smarter than you.
Exactly.
100%. 100%.
Exactly.
They don't have a day job to lean on when they blow something out like you do,
Yeah.
Exactly.
And like I always joke with my boss because we're working at a grocery store. I said, Junior, what would you do if I came to the store with like a giant bruise on my neck? He's like, Joe, I think I'd just be like, "What happened? Did you fall?" I fell off. I fell off the cage, and then my fell off a cage, and I fell off, and someone power bombed me through a light. I went up to this long, creepy list of like a hardcore wrestling match. I fell off a cage, and then someone power bombed me through a light strip, and like they were just like, "They do that in wrestling?" I said, "You don't watch deathmatch?" And none of my coworkers watch wrestling, so they're all like, "They do that in wrestling, Joe? They throw people through lights?" I'm like, "You've never heard deathmatch wrestling?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "You need to
I mean,
get into."
every once in a while, to laugh, I'll watch a death match or two. But
Yeah.
that's not something I'd ever embark in or be interested to do ever.
Ever.
I make the mistake of like following an Instagram page and not noticing what it is, and I'll go like, and every once in a while it'll come. The videos will come on our feed, and I'm just like, what did I
Yeah,
just?
yeah.
Oh my god! Like one guy had like this. It was a weapon. It looked like a mohawk, and
I saw that same clip, and you know what I thought to myself is, man, they just really don't appreciate quality of life.
No.
You
We were
know?
at a show recently, and a guy had a hardcore match, a couple matches before ours, and man, he landed through a table with a bunch of light bulbs on it on the outside of the ring, and just completely
Shredded his back. He had to get picked up on an ambulance and go to the
blood
emergency
everywhere.
room, get staples, and you know, I think to myself as you're riding in the back of the ambulance, did your payday equivalent to what you're spending to go get stitched up? No, and if
Exactly.
it's not, then maybe you should reassess your line of work.
yeah.
Exactly.
I felt bad, but I unfollowed the page immediately because I got freaked out. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
we love all wrestling here on Dudes at Ringside. We have no problem with deathmatch wrestlers, but that stuff is so dangerous. Like, I wouldn't even tell any kids to watch that stuff because I don't want any kids to think I can go home and grab a light strip and hit my brother in the head with it. Like,
I mean, like I enjoy some of the hardcore stuff as much as the next person, but at a certain point, I think it's just not wrestling anymore.
Yeah, it's glorified stuntman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like there's that line, you know.
and I mean, like I said, I don't take away from, you know, the fact that they're putting their bodies on the line.
yeah.
But is that the art of being a sports entertainment, or is it crazy people doing crazy things? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like anybody can duct tape a bunch of light bulbs together and swing it like a baseball bat, end up on ridiculousness. You know, I prefer, you know, to put time and art into my craft so that, you know, when I'm retired, I can enjoy my family and continue a healthy way of life.
Exactly.
And have a body of work that doesn't make people cringe. They smile.
Yeah. Totally.
That's me. You know, I mean, everyone has their thing. You know, it's just not my thing.
For me, my favorite type of wrestling, I love strong style. That's something I love the
Me
most.
too.
I
If you were to
always,
take, go ahead. Yeah.
my favorite's always New Japan. That strong style. So, been always my favorite.
Yeah, I like strong style. I'm a very physical person. I like when people hit me, and because I think that it just sounds. I think it helps suspend the disbelief that wrestling is not real. If they're hearing meat hit meat, you know. So like, and also I'm not a snowflake, so I'm not worried about it. Sorry, you know. But I like storytelling. You know, like I if you can combine strong style with storytelling, that's my body of work.
Yeah, like the Okada and what is it? The Okada and Shibata match. Great storytelling in that match. Probably one of my favorite matches of all time.
Right. You know, like I'd rather someone hit me really hard once and it means something because of the story we told than just to hit each other a bunch of times endlessly really hard and then go into a body slam. Like it just sounds, you know what I mean? Like, again, strong style with storytelling.
I'm more like an old school fan. I like seeing my grandfather being a professional wrestler before I was born, and I like he was a submission wrestler. He was a luchador. He was a chubby big guy, and he was a heel lucha. And him learning my grandfather was a wrestler kind of like got me more into wrestling even more that I had more of an edge over over wrestling fans. Geek knows. In college, everybody would talk about wrestling, and I go, by the way, was anybody's grandparent a wrestler? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I win over everyone. Suckers. Everyone, every argument ended in college. Was anybody's grandfather a wrestler? I'll wait. No.
Yeah.
And like
Win by
learning
default.
learning that like I have, and then I find out in the pandemic, Pete Sanchez is my cousin as well, and Frank Martinez, Blue Demon, is my cousin also, and I'm like,
Oh,
it's even cooler. So
yeah,
like,
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
and it's also cool because like it shows why I love wrestling even more. Like, because you could have family in wrestling and you never know, and then you find out. So,
Very true.
yeah.
Well, she definitely knows about her family
I
and
know
wrestling.
about that
Yeah,
part.
definitely.
Yeah. But yeah.
So you guys are intergender tag team, right? Who's somebody
Yeah.
you would love to? Who's somebody you guys would love to face?
Whew,
It could be anybody. It
you
could be
know,
anybody.
well, I have a list.
Yeah.
Wow.
For personal reasons, I kind of would like to step in the ring with Karrion Kross and his wife.
That's what I always said.
And for storytelling reasons, I'd love to step in with Index over at
Yes.
NXT.
Is there any place in the country that you guys want to go and wrestle, or the country or like anywhere in the world, like country or?
I personally would love to wrestle in Japan. That's obviously a golden star on every wrestler's resume. My dad did it. Damos did it. I would love to have a match over in Japan sometime. Also, I would love to wrestle in my home state, Oregon. Haven't got to do that yet. It'd be nice to wrestle there just to say I did. And Winnipeg, where my dad kind of started up. Those are all on my list. What about you?
Like I said, I've had 19 years. I have gotten the opportunity to wrestle pretty much everywhere that
I was gonna
matters.
say, I can't think of it.
But what I will say is, now that my career is kind of restarted with her, and we're doing so many fun things now that matter so much more. I would like to go back to Japan with her and experience Japan with her, because last time I was there, obviously, it was just me. I think that'd be an awesome experience. I also want to take her to a company I work for a lot in Greece.
ZMAC, I was just thinking
ZMAC, professional wrestling. I'm actually the world champion over there.
I would like to see Greece.
Yes, and one of the awesome things about being over there is, their crowds are awesome. Their production is awesome, and the promoters treat me so well that it's like a vacation. I get to take her to the islands. We get to have the Greek food.
Yeah, I'm very excited to potentially.
Every aspect of that trip is just phenomenal, and the experience that they give us over there is phenomenal. So I look forward to going back there, but with her with me now. So
yeah.
Greek food is always delicious. Me and Geek personally, anytime I'm with Geek, we have to have Greek food.
Yeah.
Greek
So
food
I always tell them when they book my travel out there, because they book me out there for about like maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, because they have me teach a lot of seminars, because obviously it costs a lot to fly me there, so they want their money's worth. But I always tell them to book me. I fly in very close to the show, so that I don't have to worry about dieting for TV. And then after I do the show, all the seminars, all that stuff, I can eat the Greek food and not feel self-conscious about it.
Yeah.
So Luke is saying them versus Scarlet and Cross would be a good match, and it could happen now too.
Yeah, well, yeah,
it could happen. So Vinny, if you're listening,
Vinny,
yeah,
see, Vinny, I'm showing the logo. Vinny, see, I'm a good helper. I showed the logo. He has a sleeve over it.
I think we can tell a great story and send a very good message.
Oh yeah. And actually, you could actually come with her if she went to Liberty Pro, because they have men there too.
Okay.
Yeah, Liberty men.
I have to learn about this Liberty Pro, but okay, yeah.
The owner is on Instagram. He actually came on our podcast. You can go our past posts and look up, or you can look it up. Owner of is it LPP? It's on our past posts on Instagram. We can go back.
We'll
And
definitely look it up. Yeah, 100%.
He's such a nice guy. One of the coolest southern gentlemen you ever meet. He's such a nice guy.
Super nice guy. Super nice
Super
guy.
sweet, super friendly.
I hope he sounds like the Colonel.
Somebody canceled on us, jumped on immediately. He was like, "Oh, what time? When do you need me?" And we're like, "Now." He's like, "All right."
All right. I'm coming on. I'm coming on.
He was eating pizza and he's like, "Oh, I'm eating pizza. You want to see me eating stuff in my face?" And we're like, "Oh,
Not really.
be on in a minute." I was like, okay, sir. I was waiting for him to get mad at us. We were like the little kids, sir, sir, the whole time, sir. And I was like, geez. I was like, this guy is gonna get mad at us. We keep calling him sir. Sir. I feel like the little kid in the supermarket. Sir, how much is this candy bar?
Well, since you were bringing up Magic City on the 27th, I'll be facing Carlito for the Magic City World Title.
Wow.
This is match 2, because last time he got dirty to win. So it's time for me to come back in there and take what's mine.
Yes. And when you win that belt, take a picture and send it to us. We will be happy to post it on our
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We are the home of champions. Oh, I said it wrong. We are the home of champions.
Usually something good happens to somebody right after they come on our podcast.
It's like our magic hits our guests, and they always win or they win
get signed somewhere.
Well, if that works, we'll be on your podcast every week.
Yeah, we've had that lately. Like Riley Measures that I told you that he was not here today. Dang it, Riley! Him and his tag team partner just won the tag team titles in their promotion.
Shouts out to them.
Nice.
Shout out to Riley on this big win. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, Riley. Our friend Shorty from the UK, she just won the Young Lions Championship in CPW. That's another promotion you guys should definitely, if you ever go to England, check out Coventry Pro Wrestling. They're a good promotion. A lot of good stuff. It's a small promotion, but it's good.
Super nice people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This question's for Teal. Actually, I was going to ask, what was it? What was the training like with Ronda Rousey?
Well, it's actually it was funny because it was mostly Damo's training and me learning. But it's interesting because she very much is a shooter, and there were definitely some times where I was like, I don't even know how I got on the ground, but I'm there, So it was a learning experience. She was the first shooter that I was really in the ring with. But she's great. We're all very good friends. Unfortunately, we had to move across the country shortly after that. But she's got a great heart to her, which is a lot in wrestling. There are a lot of wrestlers that are not great people, and Ronda is one of those that just has a heart of gold. So she's a tough girl, but working with her is really a really fun experience. And obviously, we had a lot of connection through her coming through Judo Jean LaBelle and that whole family that my dad got brought up in. So it was really, really neat getting to just spend time with her in the ring. And, we all just kind of had fun learning. We even at one point, just for shits and giggles, taped a little mock tag team match with her and her husband and Michael or Davos and I. Sorry, I'm using shooting now. But, we had a lot of fun just kind of getting a chance to work because we all had been so off the grid with COVID and everything. There had been nowhere to train. And so we all just kind of found the one ring open and played around. Yeah, but let me tell you, she wants to throw you, you're going. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, my one thing is, I have to say, as being a child of the 90s/80s and being a chance to go, I grew up in New York and Long Island, getting a chance to go to Madison Square Garden and hearing your dad's music would make me smile so wide that I was like, oh my God, yes. And the way your dad did his, I watched a lot of your, like on mic, your microphone skills. Did you watch a lot of your dad's like interviews, the way he did his.
Obviously, like now as a student of wrestling, I watch it in a very different light. Now I try to, like, we'll sit there sometimes and he'll kind of break down to me, advanced psychology that maybe my dad's doing that I didn't pick up on, things like that. So it's very interesting watching it back now that I'm doing this for a living versus growing up and, half of my adult life where it was just, oh, that's just dad, his job. But I think most people tend to take on characteristics of their parents naturally. So, I really think that a lot of the mannerisms or how I talk that people kind of notice are similar to him or just from growing up dialoguing with him. And, we just have that in common. But I also think that a lot of the way I talk is kind of my own side of things. I'm definitely not a spitting image of him. But yeah, I mean, I certainly approach it differently now watching it as a student. It's kind of funny because before it was just dad.
Yeah, I just wanted to know because I watched one of your things you did. You were talking about Carlito, and I was like, man. And then I went on YouTube. I was watching a lot of. I like to watch interviews with wrestlers, see how they do things. And for some reason I typed in Roddy Piper, and then I was like, I watched your thing on Instagram, and then I watched Rowdy, and I'm like, just like her pops. And just like her pops. As being a diehard old school, I'm Mr. Old School on the podcast.
I think like many wrestlers, I certainly looked at his promos for, guidance as to how to cut a good promo. But I think a lot of wrestlers probably do that. But I also try to make it my own,
Sorry about that, Demos.
That's okay.
Okay. I just being a child of the 80s and the 90s and going to the Garden, like watching Saturday nights mid event and stuff like that. It's an honor. It's an honor to have you guys on. I'm so happy to have you guys on our podcast. Like, it makes me even feel both. And as I said, you guys are our first intergender tag team. Me and Metal Geek have been pushing intergender wrestling on our podcast.
Okay, I don't mean to brag, but I'm just saying we started as one of the first like actual real life couples doing intergender tag teams, and I gotta say I'm noticing it picking up everywhere. Where there's shows coming up that are talking about doing like intergender couples tag team for like Valentine's Day and stuff like that. You're seeing it more and more on TV. So I don't know. I think we started something, guys. I think we started.
You really did. I think you really, really did. And it's like, you go, Geek.
There needs to be an intergender tag team title, and there needs to be an intergender title, because
completely agree. I've definitely heard of a couple promotions discussing that idea. And, whether or not it happens, I don't know, but I think it would be the first. I don't think there are any titles, so whoever does it, it's going to be the first. So they should jump on it.
Because there are a lot of women that could take on men, and
destroy them.
They'll destroy them. So that's why.
Yeah, and I also think there's another asset to it is, women in wrestling obviously have come a long ways, especially in recent years, where they're getting more and more credibility, better quality matches. They're not just an accessory to the guys and stuff like that. And I think it's a nice way to, give more opportunity to to the women while still incorporating the men and everything, and still protect the psychology of a match, because realistically, obviously, if Damos and I were going to fight each other, I would win because he has such a soft spot for me. But, probably if he decked me once good, there wouldn't be too much I could do about that. Versus if we're working as a team against maybe another person of his size, there's more that we can do. It offers me more opportunity as well out there in wrestling. So I think it's a very good, as a whole, for where wrestling's going right now, to incorporate more intergender matches as a business.
Yeah. Okay. We actually have a question.
Audience.
Yeah. Someone asked earlier, favorite wrestlers that were growing up for both of you.
Favorite wrestlers, what?
Growing up.
Favorite wrestlers, your favorite wrestlers when you were growing up.
Aside from family, of course. One of my favorites growing up was The Undertaker. I think I'm a very dark person, and as a kid, his whole gimmick and everything, I just thought was the coolest thing. And then, you know, as I studied wrestling, obviously he's one of the greatest of all time. So I appreciate him even more now as an adult. So that was definitely somebody I looked up to. What about you?
It's hard to answer that one because as a very naive child, you know, I always was a super fan of like the Ultimate Warrior or like, you know, guys like that. And then as I grew up, then I, you know, was a big fan of like Stone Cold and like Triple H, and those guys kind of hooked me into deciding that I wanted to do this for a living.
That reminds me of another good match, actually. You guys versus Stephanie and Triple H.
Oh,
that would be a very, very good match.
That would be exciting.
Oh yeah.
Talk about going straight to the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Would you guys be the heels or would you guys be the faces?
I think we'd be the baby faces.
I think so too. I think because Triple H, man, you know, you can't. He's good at getting a lot of heat. You know what I mean?
He gets me angry. He gets me angry all the time.
He gets a lot of hate.
Good at getting people mad too, especially on the microphone.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
I don't think people give Stephanie enough credit for her promo skills.
Yeah, you really don't. You really don't.
She has that annoying voice in a good way, though. You know what I mean? Like it's like when people can't stand her. It's like okay, but it's like you tell me you don't like her, but isn't that what a heel is supposed to do?
Yes, it is.
It's true. More people should
forget that sometimes.
Right? There's no because I understand the go away heat. I don't believe in that, to be honest with you. I believe in when someone said they don't like someone, they're a heel.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean by go away heat? Or
well, I just feel like people these days are too afraid to be disliked.
Yeah.
But I don't really care. So I would prefer to be a heel. But I don't think I could be a better heel than Triple H and Stephanie.
Yeah.
And I totally remember for a while when Stephanie McMahon was the heel, her theme song would hit and that whole arena would boo her out of the building.
You know, some of the best boo reactions, in my opinion, in the history of the business is when Vicky Guerrero would come out.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah.
I think she'd get more heat saying "excuse me" than most people would in the entire.
Doesn't she do Magic City sometimes also? Is that Magic City?
Not that I've seen, not yet. No.
No.
We're there.
Oh, it wasn't Magic City. It was
New York Wrestling Connection. She just did.
It was New York Wrestling Connection. In Long Island, there's another promotion that uses the same arena as NYWC, and I haven't been to the show, but we know she probably opens the show or comes out when she does her segment. Excuse me. Ooh.
And I'm sure the crowd reacts. Yeah.
Poor lady's known for the last name, and she's known for saying "excuse me," not Arriba la Raza. So, with Eddie Guerrero passing away, it was the anniversary. I think it was like 16 years ago. Does either of you guys, what's like your biggest memory from Eddie? Like either of you guys.
I mean, 16 years ago, I was still, you know, a kid, and my dad was trying to keep us far away from wrestling as humanly possible. So, personally, I never got to meet Eddie Guerrero. I've met some of his family members, and you know, they're great people. But I wish I could have met him. You know.
Yeah, I was too young to be around during his time. I've shaken his hand a couple of times as a young man, but I've never obviously been able to work with him or have any experiences like that. But I would love to have. I think his body of work speaks for itself.
There's so many matches, if he was alive today, he would have had classics with.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So many, like Seth Rollins would have been one. Kenny Omega would have been one. Brian. I don't know if Bryan Danielson ever wrestled him, but that's another one. Another dream match right there.
Yeah.
Andrade
all day.
Oh my God. That could have been another match for you two. Could be Andrade and what's her face, the Queen. What's her face?
Charlotte. Yeah.
Charlotte.
What's her face?
Well, first
Charlotte
she's got to
was-
not be in WWE anymore.
Yeah,
You know?
the one that he used to work with that's still in WWE. What's her? They made her queen.
Selena.
Yeah,
What's that name?
Queen Selena
Selena
and
Vega.
Friday.
There you go. Yeah.
You two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said what's her name, because I didn't say Charlotte. 'Cause I was thinking
The queen. And I was like, are you talking about Charlotte or Zelina?
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the thing. I was confused. I'm like, how did they not put Charlotte Flair in that tournament? That
Because they don't
doesn't
need to.
make- She's already the queen.
She's already the
Exactly.
queen. She's already
It's
the queen
already
of the
over.
ring. Everybody knows that.
Two kingdoms.
I answered my own question when I did that. I was like, what? Why isn't she not in? Oh, I get it. I see where they went there.
Yes.
She's already
Charlotte's done everything already, but she never went for the men's title yet.
Geek. I think we need to wrap it up because we're
Yeah.
a little over 30.
All right, gotcha.
So-
All right, we want to thank you so much for coming on, but
Of course.
Is
Thank you for having us.
Anyway, is there any upcoming shows or like social medias you want to promote or?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. So on social media, I'm Teal Piper on Instagram and Twitter. He's official Damos on both. Right?
Yes.
Yep. And then check out ARW, which is Atomic Wrestling, and on Fight TV. I think they air on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
So you can check out some of our matches there. We have a match coming up in Magic City Wrestling on the 27th. I believe.
Carlito, yes.
Yep. With Carlito.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are and Reindeer Games ARW in December. We have that coming up. So those are the two promotions right now that we're really working with.
Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You have no idea how much it means to me and Joe. You know.
And also, you let off couples week on the podcast too.
Yeah. Yay, let off another couples thing. I love it.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you
Thank you
so
so
much for having us.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on
All right.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Lots of fun. You do. What'd you do?
All right.
All right.
Well, that was a fun episode. Joe, we have a full week ahead of us, though, right? You want to say what's going on? We got a new champion.
What? Oh, yeah.
And Victory Pro Wrestling. Congratulations to Johnny Collins and the Even Stevens for winning the VPW and the tag champions. But anyway. You can donate to us at http://streamlabs.com/dudes at ringside. http://streamlabs.com/dudes at ringside. Joe, take it away.
We will be back this Wednesday for who, Metal Geek?
This Wednesday. We don't have one tomorrow?
You do? Who's tomorrow?
Yeah, we have a show tomorrow, so see you tomorrow.
Yep.